The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Borno State, on 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
Alright, welcome back from last break. If you're just joining us, it's Sports Talk here, and Emmanuel Michael here is in the studio to bring you all the latest analysis from the sporting world. Mike, good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning to you, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Alright, we'll start with basketball this morning, and it's all about the Nigerian Premier Basketball League. As defending champions, River Supers are through to the final 8 of this year's Nigerian Premier Basketball after 94-50 victory over Ebon Comets. That was yesterday. Now with 4 wins out of 7 games, 3 more to go, it looks like the Basketball African League bronze winners made light work of their game against the Comets to book the final 8 spots. Head coach Ogo Daudu used a 10-man rotation with most of the starters resting for most of the game, and of course it's not surprising how far they have gone. This should be a pleasing result to every lover of basketball, especially from those from Rivers State.
Yes, of course, it should be. Taking a look at the stride of Rivers Hoopers, they've actually dominated Nigerian Basketball League in the last 5 years right now. It looks as though they've actually found the magic on how to navigate their way through to success when it has to do with the Nigerian Basketball League. I think for me it was an impressive outing for the Kingsmen, as they are popularly called. The 94 against a 50, but 42-point margin, that is massive. Winning 4 of their first 4 games. Impressive as well, making it through to the round of 8. I think they've already qualified for the round of 8 courtesy of that impressive victory. So for me, I think it is a massive outing for Rivers Hoopers. It clearly tells you that they have what it takes to defend the title they won last time out. I don't know whether you may say that it is an effort to make, but then if you take a look at their stride, you can agree with me that there is no doubt they have the potentials and the manpower as well to also defend the title they won last season successfully. These are teams that were just, crown champion of the 64th Independence Day celebration game that they were actually invited a few weeks ago to mark Nigeria's Independence Day. Having not been very active on the court after the Basketball African League, which they finished in the 3rd position, they went out, they came out of, starting the season in an impressive fashion. With the game they played yesterday, the coach of the side had to rest most of his key players and to make use of maybe call it the second team, which they also even delivered as well, going by the point margin. So for me, I think it has been an impressive one for Rivers Hoopers. And for Ogo Daudu, he actually acknowledged the fact that it is not done and dusted. There's still more games to come. And of course, he said their major aim is to continue to improve game after game until they get to the last game. So for me, I think it is an impressive one for Rivers Hoopers.
It is an impressive one for Rivers Hoopers. We saw how they played very gloriously against 3 of their opponents, getting victorious outing in those encounters, and then getting to do something magical against Ibon Comet, one of the strong side. And then I hope that Hoops and Reeds will be the next, having not showed, than played in any of their games too. So today they'll play against Lagos Legends, and tomorrow it will be Para Falcons, and then Hoops and Reeds on Saturday. So let's keep a date on that particular one. Hoops and Reeds looks like the side that will give Rivers Hoopers a very tough time for their money, knowing fully well that they lost to the same side last year. And so let's keep our hands crossed for Hoops and Reeds, that the manager Ife Ozaka, I spoke with him on last week, and he said that if there's a side that will give them problem is Hoops and Reeds, and he clearly demonstrated, because the same side defeated them last year, and this side is also yet to drop a point, same with Rivers Hoopers. So on Saturday, you think that this will possibly be a very tough cracker for both sides?
It's a 50-50 game. You can go either way. It's about who wants it the most.
50-50 game can go either way. Let's see how far it goes. And let's move on now, and let's talk about other issues in sports. As head coach of Nigeria senior men's handball team, Rafiu Salami said that the country will benefit more from his handball coaching license. Rafiu Salami was awarded a license after successfully passing the IHF coaching course held in Cairo, Egypt, from 22nd to 29th October this year. Salami revealed that Nigeria was on the verge of missing out on the African Men's Nations Cup last January due to the country's inability to register an IHF licensed coach. He added that Nigeria has 4 IHF B licensed coaches, 34 coaches participated in the IHF coaching course, with 25 coaches passing, and if you must have well-represented delegations at the level of the continent, then you must always have those personnel readily available, and that is what the handball have done, looking at okay, if we must always participate at the continent, let's have those that will be part of us. And if we don't have that requirement, it becomes a challenge. So I'm sure with Salami picking one of the license now, it will be easier for Team Nigeria to always navigate their ways smoothly at that level. Don't you think so?
I think it's a great one. Acquiring the IHF license A coach is a good one for this development of the sport itself, because he's going to bring the wealth of his experience and what he has learned over the course of his training out there to bear in Nigerian handball, which for me I think is going to be great. It's quite disappointing and worrisome that, you know, it is only four coaches. How much more the license A? This license A became very crucial. He went for this coaching course because of the fact that Nigeria were, you know, oftentimes alienated from the scheme of things because they don't have a license A IHF, you know, holder out there, which for me I think is quite disappointing. A lot needs to be done by the Handball Federation of Nigeria to train more men, to train more coaches with grade A license that can also, you know, stand the test of time and also give us that credibility and advantage when it has to do with handball, not just here in Africa, but across the globe as well, because handball is global game. It's not only restricted to Africa. So I think it will be of an advantage. We will continue to send some of our personnel to go out there and improve their skills, improve their trade, and bring more experience to bear. That is going to also help in the development of the game per se right here in the country. So for me, I think it's a nice one. Thank God that he was able to pass through. Out of the 34 coaches that took part in this one in Cairo over there in Egypt, he was among the lucky 25 coaches that actually scaled through the process and actually got that license. I think for me, it's going to add more value to the development of a handball right here in the country.
Add more value to the development of handball in the country. And of course, I'll move now to some cricket news. We had the Nigerian Scrabble news, I beg your pardon. We had the Nigerian Scrabble Federation, NSF, has showered praises on the individuals, group, and corporate bodies that supported Team Nigeria to the just concluded 15th Africa Scrabble Championship in Kigali, there in Rwanda. The president of the NSF, that is Nigerian Scrabble Federation, Engineer Toke Aka, told journalists in Lagos this week that the Federation and the Scrabble family in Nigeria is grateful for the role played by the players, the families, their friends, and stakeholders in the Federation, and of course, a couple of corporate bodies in ensuring that Team Nigeria make the trip to Kigali. Since the inception of the Pan-African Scrabble Championship some 30 years ago, the federal government of Nigeria has been supporting Scrabble to its biannual championship, which the country has dominated, winning 14 of the 15 edition. Despite the fact that the federal government shy away from its responsibility to the Scrabble players, it looks like the Scrabble Federation was able to fund the trip with the help of the players, friends of Scrabble, and the others. You know, but this is good because instead of coming back, instead of not going and not achieving the victory, you know, it looks like they always have a way to defy all. But it's very worrisome that if they are claiming that in the 14 years or in the last 14 edition that they have always gone for this particular one, and they have not been supported by the federal government, then there is a problem, because you cannot be going for a championship that is representing Nigeria, and then you are not supported by the sports ministry, which is the arm of the ministry then under the federal government. So it is worrisome. And they're always coming out victorious, you know. So for me, I think that maybe the NLC, the National Sports Commission, now will help to mitigate some of these challenges faced by these federations.
Yeah, I think the acronym NSC, not NLC. For me, I think it's a very worrisome situation and very pathetic that for a ministry that is doing a lot in order to improve the course of Nigerian sports, activity in the country is being undermined. Out of the 15 times that this very championship has been hosted, Nigeria has come out top 14 times winner. That is massive. You cannot record such a impeccable record in any other sport ministry right here in the country, winning 14 out of 15 championship. You know, they've shown that dominance over the years. And for me, it's quite disappointing that all this success that they were bringing, it is out of their own personal pockets. You know, they even had to borrow money from friends and family, you know, and corporate members as well, and those who actually have interest in the sport, individual per se, to also help them navigate through the challenging time of looking for funds, you know, to also help them to continue to bring glory to the country. Is it not embarrassing that for such a ministry that is doing a lot in order to help improve the course of sport development, yet they are being undermined without giving them any fund out there? Now, when they go out to borrow, to go and prosecute their match or honor an international game, when they come back, there is nothing to show for it. How do you intend them to pay back the loan they went to take? I mean, it is quite disappointing. I think the only man that has been very supportive to this ministry is the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, now the Senate President, talking about Godswill Akpabio, who has oftentimes, you know, supported them financially and morally, which for me, I think they've also deemed it necessary that this time around they are going to present the trophy to him because of his partnership and support for them as well. So for me, I think, like I said, it's quite disturbing and disheartening that for such a sector, a ministry that is doing us proud, we have actually neglected them in terms of giving them support. But then again, another thing that will come to mind is the last national budget. The sport ministry actually got a sum of 30 billion naira for the sport ministry. And we have about 32 or thereabouts different sporting ministry right here in the country. If 30 billion went to the Ministry of Sport, is this angle of sport not part of that 32 sport ministry?
Sports Federation, you mean?
Yeah, Sport Federation that is entitled to that, you know, budgetary allocation that was allotted to the sport ministry. These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves.
I know about two federations that are not part of the budget, because according to the minister, purportedly, that they have not been recognized in the African Confederation. So sometimes it's political. I mean, there's no excuse to that. If you have recognized the ministry, a federation here, there's no reason why they should not be budgeted after 1-2 years. How do you want them to function? Coiling is one. But for me, I doubt the possibility of not having a sports like a federation like Scrabble into the budget. So who is holding back the budget? Or is there an explanation that is not clear as to whether they have they've exhausted their budget for the year? So these are the two critical things that needed to be answered first, because I know when the matter came up some time ago on the issue, they said, okay, they will still go, but that they have not been, they did not have the right approval, you know, for funding. So I ask, why do you give a budget to a department and then you say subject to the availability of funds when the time comes? So these are the two things I said the last time. Now we need to first of all know if there is no availability of funds or whether there was no budget at all for them. So, but for the Coiling Federation, I know that they are not enlisted in the budgetary allocation of the sports ministry. That was why it was difficult in January when they wanted to go for I think a global showpiece. They could not, because that was a finding, even if they alleged that the ministry did not want to support them. But findings revealed that there was no budgetary allocation to the, so could that be the case with NSF, as National Nigerian Scrabble Federation?
It's not the same case, because the Nigerian Scrabble Federation, they are actually recognized. You know, they are not part of those two bodies.
At least they've been there for the past 15 years.
From what they said. For the past 15 years, and been doing pretty well in the past 15 years. You know, so they are certainly not part of those one that was bad, or that is not part and parcel of the national budgeting that was approved for the Ministry of Sport. So the big question that is begging for answer is where the money that was supposed to go to that ministry, or where is it going? Where did it go wrong? Then the chairman of the ministry talking about the head man. Why is he not talking? Is it only when they face some of these challenges that is only the time you see him come to the media to make some big issue? Why is he not consistent to ask questions about what is duly that was supposed to be theirs? if, for example, you know, a state has their own allocation come to them every month end, you know, and then all of a sudden you stayed a month and without, for example, Rivers State didn't have any allocation. Is it not within the ambit of the governor to ask the federal government of their own share of the national federal allocation? That is what they should do. Also, if you are the chairman, you are the headman of the Nigerian Scrabble Federation, and what we're supposed to do to come to your table is not coming. Is it not left for you as a headman who galvanize things to see that that ministry stand the test of time, to ask questions from the sport minister then, as it were, then called before it was now scrapped? So I think the bulk of the blame as well, sometimes it lies on these leaders, and sometimes it is just like you say, it is political sometimes. That is why most time you see the people that is affected, they fail to come out, you know, to blow the trumpet so that people get to know the ordeal that they are passing through. So I think it's more like the more you look, the less you see in some of these activities.
And before we go on a short break, the newly appointed chairman of the National Sports Commission, Malam Shehu Diko, has unveiled a new direction for the nation's sports. He emphasized a change of mindset from the physician of just participating in competitions to bending back to fix domestic sports development. Diko stated this yesterday at the handover ceremony from the former minister of the Scrabbling Ministry of Sports, Senator John Owan Eno. And according to him, the focus of the National Sports Commission is to set the foundation of our national sports, while the result will naturally come in a sustainable manner. He revealed that for this reason, his administration of the National Sports Commission will focus on 3 cardinal planks for development, first of which is to run sports. And speaking in more specific terms, Diko outlined the tasks before him as structural organization to position and enable the National Sports Commission to implement the desired policies and framework envisaged, facilitation of private sector participation in the sector through investment and all that. He talked about infrastructural development too. So, but all this boils down to one thing. A lot of person would say that, will speak loud and they will do less. This is not time to explain much. It's time to look at the policies. Some of these policies that have been there. Derek came with lovely policy, blueprint, how to develop sports in Nigeria. That policy was handed over to John Owan Eno, and now that his ministry has been scrapped, that policy is just a modified. What I'm seeing from here, is a modified policy. But we'll leave this matter for another time. But Mike, let me just get a thought on some of these things, because for me, I just feel that with things that we've heard over again, but it looks like he might just have the fortune or the zeal to change the narrative.
For me, I think there is a medio-sociological jargon that is said, mens in corpora sana, meaning a sound mind in a sound body. Now, the body here is the ministry that is heading the National Sport Commission. Now, the mind here is Diko himself. Now, mens in corpora sana, sound mind in a sound body. If Diko has a sound mind, then the body, which is the National Sport Commission, will be sound as well. Well, if you're having a man whose mind look as though going from previous antecedent is not sound, how do we now expect sanity? But then I wouldn't want to, paint his opinion or ideas which he has projected in a wrong light. All support must be given to him. Let's see if he can be able to achieve all that he has set for himself. One of the cardinal points which he has actually stated there is infrastructural renaissance, which for me I think is key for sport development right here in the country. Having said that, we need to give him all the support. All hands must be on deck at this point in time. Despite his previous flaws in different angles, I still think that if given the proper support, maybe this time he can have a new leave of mind so that we can have a sound mind in a sound body.
A sound mind in a sound body. I'll have more time to really digest this in the coming days, but we're going to short break now. When we come back, we have football matters to discuss here on Sports Talk.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required. The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman.
Alright, welcome back from that break. It's time to take you through the second part of the show now, and of course we'll talk more about football matters. Let's start with the Nigerian National League, where the Chief Operating Officer of the league, Dr. Ayo Abdurrahman, has revealed the introduction of monthly awards for players, coaches, goalkeepers and referees for the upcoming season, starting this next month. Mike, this should be a motivating factor. But I'm just wondering why this is coming now. When we hear this, it looks like it's a new thing in football, but it should be something that is ongoing. I hope they have plans for sustainability.
Yeah, that should be the only question, if they actually have a plan for sustainability, so that it won't just be a one-off thing where we do it this season, next season we won't have it again. But then I tell you, it is a nice idea, not a new idea per se in the world of football, as other leagues, mostly the European leagues they have been doing this over the years. So for me, I think if the NNL have deemed it necessary to also introduce that into the Nigerian National League, I think it's going to be a good one for the players that are involved. It's going to be a good one for the coaches, and everybody that is involved in this one. And I guess this idea is coming out from the symposium or the training or seminar that they had with a club, media on how to handle media activities professionally. Because information dissemination, I will keep saying, that is a veritable tool in actually building a very viable society, and especially within the sport fraternity as well. So I think after that, training, they had to also adopt this idea of introducing award for the best players, best coaches of the month, and all of that. It's going to also boost the morals of the players and the key actors in the system to also start behaving themselves, because they know that there are certain things or reward that comes with it, even if not for the financial reward, but then for that global recognition of what you've done so far in your league. I think that would push them to even add more effort to what they are doing.
Add more effort to what they're doing, and that is what we crave for. But let's take a look at what is happening in the Nigerian Premier Football League, and this news is key, because following the compliance with the arbitration decision of the Nigerian Football Federation based on player status committee, the Nigerian Football League has restored licenses of newly transferred and registered players of 7 of the 10 defaulting clubs. And in a letter conveying the development to the club, the NPFL Chief Operating Officer Davis Naomi commended the clubs for complying swiftly with the requirement, which will enable them play to their full strength. They are Eyimba Football Club, Economy Warriors, Plateau United, and Bayelsa United. Others are Lobby Stars, Heartland, and Aqua United. In the case of Aqua United, licenses were restored on the directive of the NFF, pending ongoing further investigation into their case. With the development, 2 other clubs, Abia Warriors, Katsina United, and Kwara United, are still not off the hook, as they are yet to comply with the ruling to their case. Michael, it's a very simple question I will ask is, what are they complying to?
They are complying to the fact that their licenses were seized, were held, because they had a contractual issue which they actually breached with some of the players that they signed in, and the article that actually serves as governing rules within the NPFL state in different categories what clubs must do if you want to acquire a new player.
So have they done it
those
now?
Players need to be registered, and out of the few clubs that were actually imposed with this obligation of, if they fail to comply, their licenses were withdrawn from them. Some of the clubs have completed that task. I think it is only about 3 clubs that have not complied with it.
How do we know that has been done? That's my concern. How do we know that has been done? Because this news came barely 2 weeks ago, fortnight ago, and today.
Yeah, I think truly deserving one to say. As a defending champion, they started the tournament on a very wrong footing when they lost their first game. But then were able to pick up in the second game. Won their second game 2-1. Their third game 3-1. It ended, and that is how they were able to push themselves through and go to the final, coming up against a bitter rival in what is called the Jollof Derby. We were able to hold our own. We struck first and even doubled the lead. It was more like a one-sided game, especially in the first half, where the Nigerian team actually dominated proceedings. But in the second half of the game, it was the turn of the Ghanaians as well to take the center stage, as they also piled pressure against the Nigerian team, looking for an equalizer. Fortunately, find a goal which actually gave them that lift to start asking for more questions, in our 18-yard box. But thanks to our goalkeeper and some of the defenders who were actually very good on the night, despite the pressure piled against us, especially in the dying minutes of the game, they were still able to hold their own, very dogged, and came out top in that very one to defend the title they won 2 years ago successfully. So for me, I think it is a great one, and because of that, they've also qualified for the under 20 African, Nations Cup come next edition, which for me I think is very impressive of Team Nigeria. We need to also congratulate the boys because, like I said, the way they started the first game, it wasn't very encouraging, but then they were able to rally back into the game, into the tournament, and they were able to pull the chestnuts out of fire. Big congratulations once more to Team Nigeria.
Big congratulations. Let's move now across the continent as we move straight to Europe to bring you some of the interesting stories from that side. And we saw Arsenal were in fantastic form yesterday. Arsenal fans and Manchester United fans, of course, celebrated Mo Salah's equalizer. Argument continues on some of the issues happening as we have. But then let's talk about all the games played in the Carabao Cup yesterday, and let's take a look at them. But first off, let's look at Manchester United. Ruud van Nistelrooy enjoyed a winning start to his critical spell in charge of Manchester United as they got to the next stage of the Carabao Cup yesterday. 5-2 bashing at Old Trafford, and it looks like a good beginning for Manchester United. Someone was asking, why did they not score these goals when Erik ten Hag was there? What a good start for the new reign of Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, for me, I think it was a good start for him. A man who truly understands the culture of Manchester United, having played there, under Sir Alex Ferguson, coming back as a coach this time around as assistant to Erik ten Hag, his fellow Dutchman. He was just waiting patiently for his time to come. When he comes, he actually took the time very well and utilized it, winning 5-2 against a very stubborn, Brighton side. It's not an easy feat. But then you want to say, yeah, maybe it wasn't a true test for Ruud van Nistelrooy. But we hear, despite the victory, Manchester United, they are still looking for a coach, and from all indication and from all relevant searches, they are getting very close to, wrapping up a deal for Ruben Amorim, the Sporting Lisbon coach out there, with the buyout clause of that coach about 10 million euros. So, but then I think for me it was a very good for Van Nistelrooy. It looked as though the player wanted to play for him, and it looked as though as well, going by that performance of yesterday, it was more like a conspiracy against Erik ten Hag by the players, because you hardly saw Manchester United under Erik ten Hag, putting up such a margin of goal, beating a team 5 goals. So for me, I think it's a big congratulations to Manchester United fans. I know many of their fans right now will be relieved, at least within this short period, to forget about the past experiences and past sorrows, that Erik ten Hag had brought upon them because of the poor and bad record he's been getting.
And then Esquire, Brighton and Hove Albion lost at home to Liverpool 3-2. It ended in that game.
Yeah, for Liverpool, they continue to, sojourn under their new man, talking about Anslot, who is not taking chances at all. I think it's a good one for Liverpool. I look as though they will be competing in all fronts this season. But hopefully they continue to push so that at least we'll have a new team in England dominating other than Manchester City.
Aston Villa lost to Crystal Palace. For me, it was surprising, but maybe that's in trend because a few weeks ago, Naemer said they are going to compete in all fronts, but now they are out of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, not surprising, because sometimes you need to focus on what you want to achieve per season. You can't be jack of all trade and a master of none. You need to align your, structure or what you want to achieve, your target, your dream for a season very well. You see that for this season, I have about 4 competitions, to play. And which one do I prioritize? Okay, I want to prioritize the Champions League.